Welcome to this month's edition of Big Data Bellvue. My name is Siddharth Agrawal. I'm the organizer of Big Data Bellvue. My co-organizer is Chaitanya. We're here at the Microsoft Reactor with a live audience as well as online, but we'll be recording the talk for future viewers. Just a little bit of intro about Big Data Bellvue. This meetup was formed in the early days of big data computing when we used Hadoop on-prem, a little bit pre-cloud. And since then, big data has come a long way. We also hit a milestone with our group of 5,000 users just in the last month. But one of the reasons that I like coming to this group is keeping up with new technologies around big data. We've had a lot of talks on analytics. AI is another very popular topic. So let me get to this month's presentation. It is a mixture of AI and online, supporting an online website with the problem of, how do you moderate user submitted content? And you want to do this in an automated way as far as possible. But at the same time, you want to ensure that there's, safety and security for the online community by blocking, unwanted content. And so we have Rakhee Singhal, who heads product at Actionable Analytics Group, who's going to tell us how they are solving this problem.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you. Thank you for organizing and having me. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So today I'm Rakhee, as Siddharth has mentioned. Today we are going to talk about content moderation. So in this talk, we are going to cover what is content moderation, why it is important, what is its impact, and how we can solve this problem. Yep. So before we get started, I wanted to ensure that it's going to be a dialogue rather than a monologue. I want it to be more interactive so that I can understand your issues. If you have any questions, I would like to answer them when during the talk as well as at the end. So, yeah. So let's begin with, what do you understand by content moderation? What do you think that it is? Anyone? Yeah, so basically content moderation is something, something on those lines, that whenever we have some kind of third-party content or user-generated content, right? And every platform has its responsibility to make sure that it has a good quality product, and it ensures that it is meeting the expectation of its consumers, right? Whosoever is visiting your platform, it should adhere to their norms and policies, because you have to be compliant, state compliant. At the same time, ensure that you have plenty of content to cater to your consumers, whosoever is visiting your platform. So yeah. So Mechanical Turk is basically, we'll get onto that in more detail, but Mechanical Turk is, so AI is the automation part, Mechanical Turk is like more human part, because this is a very big problem which cannot be solved just through 100% automation, because stakes are huge, and we want to be a marriage between man and machine rather than just be a machine doing everything. So we have to involve human in that. So there would be human intervention, of course, at some point, not at all the points. So basically, to begin with, so as I mentioned, that every online platform, whosoever you're visiting, they are responsible to ensure that their customers are safe and uphold their trust, that they'll be provided with the good quality content, and will be, meeting their expectations when they are visiting their website. So like, for example, if you visit Amazon, right, and if you're shopping for shoes, then ensuring that when you're searching for shoes, you get the shoes, right? And they are good quality products. They are not counterfeits, or, there should not be any kind of like the good quality image. Good quality image. There should not be a counterfeit or anything which is objectionable content on that, right? it becomes all the more important when it is user generated. It is not generated by your platform. There are third party involved. So you don't have any control over those parties, right? Third parties. So we have to ensure that everything is as per norms, and you have to keep all the checks and balances in place. So the motto is that safety first so that you can last for longer. So now, why it is so important? Why? Any suggestions? Anyone? So basically, it is important so that you can identify urgent issues. So urgent issues when, like, sometimes what happens is when there is a user-generated content, there could be issues with the virus, right? Trojans or malware might attack your system. So you have to be ensure so that you can tackle it before it gets into your website and your platform goes down.
Primarily from a moderation point of view, if you look at it, like we go to like a lot of such as Facebook or Twitter, etc. People tend to interact with each other. Many times when there are certain topics such as politics or celebrities, etc., people tend to start using like profanity, or they may like somebody, they may dislike somebody. So you'll start seeing a lot of communication that may have not very good like civilized language, right? So that can happen in real time. Similarly, when you go on, let's say, Instagram or even on YouTube, etc., sometimes kids may open up those websites and they may come across, let's say, adult content which should not be viewed by them. Those could be issues, right? All of these things, whether it is image, video, or even text, needs to be moderated. So that's what is being shown here, especially in the lines of social media and things along those lines. You get such kind of content that may come anytime, anywhere. And do we have tooling, except or architectures that can combat that kind of things? So it can happen in social media, it can happen in regular media, it can happen in Facebook, Twitter, it can happen in YouTube, and even in like shopping websites such as Amazon or eBay or any other websites that you shop from. Even the platforms needs to ensure that they don't have any kind of objectionable content. So for instance, you want to make sure that there is no hate speech, or do you want to ensure that there is no weapons or drugs being sold on those platforms? So you want to even detect those kind of things as well. So it's much more broader than even social media, as well as essentially little bit media and things like that. So back to Rakhee.
Yeah. Thanks, Arpit. He's a like advisor, CTO with our company. So what could be the impacts in case we have bad quality content, or you say malicious content, So we have specified on e-commerce, so it can impact their returns, their shopping cart abandonment, and brand trust. So returns, like as it has been mentioned, that 40% of the customers might return the products because they are not accurate as per their description. So we have to ensure, uh, being a platform, that the products which we are selling, they are accurate, whatever description and the image has been provided, it's accurate, so that we can give the best of experience to our customers. Then shopping cart abandonment. What does that mean? It means that whenever a customer, they have selected the products, they have kept it in their shopping cart, they're just near to the conversion, but they don't do it because they see bad reviews, or the image is not good. Because of that, they just abandon it. So it's a very, very huge loss. Like, it is impacting the GMV of the company, and it's like quarter of the customers. That is like huge, right? And then comes to our brand trust. Whatever we do has to be, as per the expectation. As I mentioned, it should be high quality product and the right description, and we want to ensure that we are compliant with all the policies and all the laws. And in case we don't do, and we are selling inaccurate product information, then 86% of the customers might never return to our website, and we want people to return, because that's how we get the regular business, right? Continuous business. Yeah.
I like to just add on here that how many times have you seen you have visited like a website and you find like counterfeit products or incorrect information? Have you encountered that ever in your like life? Like whenever you go shopping online, find some content that was either counterfeit or the description was not accurate or it was misleading advertising. They are saying something else, but the product is something else. Have you experienced that in the past? Any one of you? Or online or wherever. Uh, yeah. So yeah, exactly right. So generally, again, we are not kind of pointing fingers at different platforms, but generally, if you are in marketplace kind of a scenario where you have third-party sellers who are trying to list their products and trying to sell it, it's very difficult to really ensure the quality. Like, what is that they're listing? Is it counterfeit? Is it knockoff? Or is it just a bad quality product? But if you are running your own, like so for instance, if I take example of let's say Amazon, they have their retail plus marketplace. So retail is basically Amazon owned and operated, meaning that they source those products from themselves. So there they have higher level of control. If their vendors are not doing fine, they can ban them, they can punish them. But when you work with third party sellers, the control is not as huge, so they can still go and punish them as well. But generally third party sellers are not controlled by Amazon directly, so it's very difficult to do that. So in marketplaces are so so the worst is the user generated content, because there is just zero control over them, because user meaning me, you, anyone can go on any website, write whatever they want, upload any picture as they want, upload any video as they want. Second level of thing is marketplace sellers who are better off than like individuals, because they are still running a business, so they want to make sure that they don't sell counterfeit etc, because they can get banned. And the highest level of quality is owned and operated. So like Amazon will source their own products and list, so there is a high likelihood if Amazon is the seller, the product would be most likely be good. But if it is coming from a third party seller, you don't know. And if it is coming from an individual, then it's even like further down the drain. So that is why when you talk about brand trust, it's very very important. So any marketplace or company that may have third party sellers or third parties users coming in and producing content there, the reputation of that website gets soiled in the purpose. Nobody will say that okay, particular person or a particular seller did bad. They will hold Amazon accountable, that how can you show this kind of thing. That's where your brand basically takes a beating. Same way, even for brands, because they want to at the end of the day make sales, right? They want to increase their merchandising value. And if people are abandoning their carts, they try to put products in and then they say maybe this is misleading information, I don't want to do it. And if you keep doing that multiple number of times, the likelihood of customers coming back to the shopping cart or that website becomes very very low. So it's very important to maintain both the brand test as well as commerce. So that's what we were trying to basically say here. Back to you, Rakhee.
Yeah. So next is, this is the financial impact and the image of the brand. And here now we are talking about human moderators. It's a human touch. How does it impact the human beings, like who are moderating these contents? So they have been given quotas, like they have to do these many listings in a day or so within the time limit. And they have to see all the contents, which could be very, violent images or adult images or whatnot, and it impacts them negatively, like their mental health. So because of that reason, there have been documentaries, there have been litigations, so against very big companies. I don't want to name them, but there are cases which are going on against the big companies because of those reasons, because they have not been able to maintain the conditions of their human moderators. So it's very very bad. So how we can move from that, like totally being manual, to automation? That is also one of the reasons, not just by financial, like okay, we want to ensure that we have multiple products, and with automation we can get going, like the products get listed in very few seconds or minutes, so to say. But this is also one of the reasons, because we want to move away from the litigation and we want to ensure that the health of the moderators is intact. So how we can improve the process, and with the automation and AI machine learning, how we can improve that. Any questions? Yep. So basically that is also one of the things, like, some of the contents which is not right, like the fake news, we want to contain that. That is also the responsibility of platform. There were a lot of litigation and a lot of hue and cry about those things, right? So that was one of the things which is talking about spoken about at length and breadth, and we want to ensure that platform is safeguarded. Yeah, so we want to ensure that there is no violence, no hatred, nothing, anything against anybody, and everybody feels safe, and we want to ensure that there is no fake news. So we want to ensure that from where it is coming actually, right? And as Arpit has mentioned, that user generated content where anybody can just come and just upload the image or write anything about it, like your social media platforms, we have to be doubly sure. So yeah, so that is very, very important. Yeah. Yeah, so these are the industries, like it is not limited to e-commerce, as we have mentioned earlier. There are marketplaces, there are OTA platforms, media, social network, all the platforms which are online, whatever you can think of online can be, plagued by malicious content. And every platform, it is the duty that they are doing some kind of a moderation as far as their third party content and user generated content is concerned, because when they are generating their own content, that's perfectly fine, because of course they won't go in that way. But yeah. So sometimes what happens is, like YouTube, right? People post their videos, and they give you a section where you can select whether it is supposed to be for kids, or it's not for kids. And sometimes if you selected that, oh, this is for kids, but it is actually not meant for kids, right? It has some adult content which is not good for them, and which is like by law, it has been you cannot show it to the kids, then you will not be compliant, so you can fall in a big soup. So you want to avoid, so you want to moderate that content, whether what they are saying is actually there. And sometimes even for e-commerce or marketplaces, what happens is, like, when they are uploading the listing, like third party seller comes in and they want to upload a list for a shirt, let's say. So they have mentioned it blue shirt with v-neck, but actually it's round neck, right? So there's wrong description. So we want to ensure that that has been corrected, so that whenever they are searching for the right kind of product, they get the same products. Like for say for shoes, right? Under the so they are verticals, right? Sports shoes, sneakers, casual wears. And when you have sports shoes and you are categorizing them under the wrong category, say to say sneakers, right? So it will give a bad impact, right? Because what happens is, as a consumer, when you visit a website, you want to show the exact what you are expecting from the website to show, right? I'm searching for sneakers, so they should be showing all the sneaker shoes, not the sports shoes. If it would ruin my experience, right? So these are small things which actually either make or mar your branding. So the challenges when we are moderating the content, what are the challenges? So I have divided into three. There could be other ways of dividing it. So one is content quality. As I mentioned, that the quality, first is the image is good quality, the content is perfect, and there is no grammatical mistakes and all those things. And beyond that, like whatever I am describing the product is, actually it is, right? So it is not a counterfeit, it is not a copy. There is no copyright infringement, just to make sure that we are abiding by the law, and ensuring that when customers are coming, they understand that if they are ordering for Adidas shoes, they are getting Adidas. When they are buying any Nike shirt, they are getting Nike shirt, not some kind of a forfeit or counterfeit. Mhm. And then there is a security risk. So there could be a possibility that when some user generated content has been uploaded, it might have some kind of a virus or malware. So we want to ensure, as we want to safeguard. Then technical accuracy. So as I mentioned, that sometimes we pick as a third party seller, when they are uploading their listings, they might select the wrong vertical or wrong category for their shoes, for their clothing, or maybe for any skincare. So it has to be, this should be in a right category, so that it get discovered by the customers whenever uh, that kind of a query comes in, and we'll be able to list it properly. So so this is a research by Pew, and all the social media platforms, they are doing content moderation in some form or the another. So this is just a glimpse of how they are doing it. Some has moderated content, some, and in some social groups, so there are like channel heads or group heads. They sometimes what happens is when you are a part of a YouTube, Facebook group. So your content doesn't get listed. Just it will go for approval from the admin, right? So that is also one way of doing the content moderation. Yeah. And sometimes you want to be doubly sure. So sometimes even your viewers can report, right? Whenever you are watching a YouTube video or anything, you can always say report. And whenever you are doing a WhatsApp chatting and you get some kind of a request or some kind of a message, you can always report or block. So these are some different ways of doing the content moderation, ensuring that, your customers feel good about it. Yeah. So now, since as we have understood that the problem is so huge and there are like multiple ways of doing it, and everybody is just trying to do the content moderation, so we try to come up with a hybrid approach, which is a marriage between man and machine. So this is an architecture which we have put together. And so basically when we talk about content, so it can be divided into three parts: text, image, and video, right? Because it has different features and functionalities, and uh, they have different peculiarities, so they have to be treated differently, even though they could be a part of one listing or one upload, right? Mhm. So basically, once the data has been uploaded, which could be text, image, or video, it goes for content moderation, like through AI machine learning. So we have different filters, like there are different things for which we want to filter out the content. So it would be counterfeit, there would be hate speech, right? Adult, any kind of policy violation. So all those things, they are different filters, and one machine learning model won't work for all those things. So we have to have multiple models. So just to say, okay, if we have text, right, then it will go through, like, firstly, we'll walk it through whether it's an adult or anything which is not acceptable as per adult. Then it will go through three models: model 1, model 2, and model 3. We won't rely on just one model, 3, so that we get much more higher confidence score. And so every model will this will be an ensemble method, and all the models will give a score. And when the score is higher, say to say this is configurable, like it could be 98%, 95%, right? Whatsoever you want to configure. Once you get that, then you accept this content. And if it is lower than that, so what you can do is, like, if it is like around say 98%, so 80% to 98%, it can go for human review because we are unsure about it. But below 80%, you can just outrightly reject the content. So this is for text. Similar process will happen for image for the same post. So same post could be text, image, and video. So all this process, what we have followed for text, this will be done separately for image and separately for video. So yeah. Anything, Arpit, you want to add to?
So basically, what Rakhee was describing in this architecture is that let's take an example of e-commerce. So let's say you go onto Amazon and you're looking for, let's say, a camera, right? So it's a listing. So camera has an image and it also has text. So it has a description, it has the title, pricing, etc. So if you were to pass it through this kind of a system, it will first block it into, it will separate out the text from the image. Image as it is shown here will go through its own pipeline as is shown. So basically, image is submitted, goes into the Kafka pipeline. The image, same with the text, would also go into the pipeline. Separately, there will be image machine learning filters. So what you are describing as filters are nothing but a machine learning model specifically built for image. for a specific filter. So there could be multiple filters. There could be filter for adult, profanity, drugs, uh, weapons, trademark, so on and so forth. So each filter category will be there for image, text, video. So one filter for a specific policy violation for each of the different media types. And each media type, for each filter, there will be multiple models doing exactly the same thing. The reason for that is that you can never be sure about the accuracy of just one model. So let's say if there is a filter for adult content, for let's say on text, because in text also you can write profanity and information there, right? So let's say you use a LSTM based model, which is a recurrent neural network based model, long short term memory, and you use that to build one model to detect whether there is an adult content or not. You would also be building another model. She talked about we are using three models in our current setup. So the other model could be built based upon SVM. A third model could be built based upon boosted decision tree, etc. These are just examples. It could be based upon any of those things. The reason for doing more than one model for just one filter is that we will always take an ensemble of these three methods, these three models, or maybe even four models, to get a higher accuracy. So if the accuracy threshold is 98%, that if you get answer above 98%, you know this is definitely adult, and this, so hence you can annotate that and you can reject this listing. But let's say if it is between 80 to 98%, you're not sure whether it is really adult or not adult. In those cases, you'll send it to the human reviewer queue. The whole point of this whole workflow is that you want to maximize the automation, meaning most of the things should be automated, essentially, rather than leveraging the human review queue. So essentially what happens is that majority of the content is being kind of annotated by the machine learning models that we have. Only the ones where there is confusion or the models cannot give you a very strong score, where there is a confusion, in that threshold you send those items to human review queue. So one of our past, customers was a large e-commerce player who had only the manual review queue earlier. They didn't have any of these automations. As Rakhee pointed out in the previous slides, that a lot of these human reviewers have a lot of psychological issues when they are exposed to such kind of low quality content. Because it can have violence, it can have hate speech, adult, etc. So they went into a lot of lawsuits because these people will file cases against those companies. So it's like a hazard for those people, for their well-being. Plus companies can be sued because they have, and actually pretty much all big tech companies have been sued for this kind of episode. In addition to that, it's very expensive to train so many human beings to keep doing the same thing. And as the volume of content has increased into millions and billions of daily activities, you can't have enough number of people to keep reviewing all the content all the time, right? So hence there is a need for machine learning. However, you cannot fully depend upon machine learning as well, because as we said, like many cases the confidence score is not so high, and hence you can't make a determination whether it is good or bad or etc. And that's when you need to send it to the human review queue. So that's the overall kind of architecture. And back to Rakhee to wrap it up.
Yeah, I wanted to, add one more point to it. So as far as human reviewers are concerned, they are not just given, like we have kind of gamified that for them. So we'll give them a platform or an app where they can just say, oh, this is a adult or not. Instead of just going for longer, because we have done a lot of things for them already. We have already processes where there's a confusion, only their intervention is needed. And for those reasons, like we can have like part-time people, or people who are not working, they can work remotely from anywhere. And how much time they want to spend, they can decide for themselves. We are not deciding for them. So they'll be paid as per how many listings they have reviewed, and it is more of kind of a game now, gamified it. Like they'll be given an option, okay, this, whether this is this, that's it. They don't have to get into more details. And also, like this is something which is very, very important to companies. And the models, it can be like, we have used 3 models, they could go on to 4 or 5 models as per the. And one of the reasons why we use multiple models is because sometimes one model doesn't perform good, right? Some is better than the other. So we want to ensure that, we are using multiple models so that the possibility of failure is very, very low. And because we don't want to take any chances, because this is something which can risk the platform, like it is there, this is something that, it's always better to be prepare rather than just repair and repent. So, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah. So basically, what we already have a trained data set on which with model is built. So we have already, there is a label data set so training data set which has been used to build the model. And once the model is built, then they'll be able to predict. And there are quite some of the pre-built models also, like pre-trained models which are available. So in case you want to do a prototype and just to see whether it is working or not, like as a human, like as an engineer, if you want to go, and so there is like a TensorFlow and all those places where you can just go and use the pre-trained models and start making predictions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they are yeah, pre-trained is there, but as you grow up and you want to launch a full-fledged product, obviously we'll recommend that you should have your own data set, like which will be used for training the model and all those things. Because you have your own specification as a platform, you have your own say. What they have done, it is just for prototyping and just see whether it is working, what you're thinking, that's good, like just to start the process, but not going forward as you become big, because your expectations, your problems, your issues are your issues, right? Your data is your data, so it's always better to get it trained on your data. And there are multiple, like and it's not just you just come up with 3 models and you launch all the 3 models. No, we have to do multiple iterations. There would be 10, 20, 30 models before we pick and choose which models we'll be using for these filters. It's not just straightforward or just go and do that, because whosoever is giving a higher accuracy precision, only those models will use.
So, based upon the question, I just wanted to add what Rakhee just shared is that especially if you take e-commerce as an example, because we worked a lot in the e-commerce domain. Essentially, that each of those listings, right, that you see on the website, you can actually hand pick, like whenever, like there are like customer reviewers or agents, right? Whenever customer complains, sometimes they see some objectionable content on the website, you have those tags that this listing was dropped down because it was adult, because it had profanity, because it had political or hate speech. So all that data set you have to build as a golden training data set. So basically, the model is trained based upon, okay, you have let's say 100,000 images that are adult, 50,000 images that are politics, etc., etc. Same way on the text, this text is adult, this text is this. So that's the labeling part. Then you feed it into like a algorithm, like we talked about LSTM or a recurrent neural network or convolutional neural network. Generally what we saw is on the image, convolutional neural network used to work better. On text, LSTM or recurrent neural network used to work better. These are more like deep learning kind of methods, but you could still build it through classical machine learning as well, such as SVM, decision trees, random forest, logistic regression, etc., etc. And the beauty here is that each data set, so if I were to say e-commerce as a domain, right? So like if eBay tried to use it right away, it won't work for them. Let's say if we build this for Amazon, then eBay thinks, or let's say some other target thinks that we can use it for ourselves, won't work right away. In principle, they'll also do something like this. The architecture works, but the implementation won't, because as you can imagine, right, a listing in Amazon, will they have their own schema of how our image is defined, how the text will be defined, etc. eBay will have its own. target will have its own. So it has to be tailored, customized towards like which company is using the same thing. Same way, like YouTube tries to do it. Principally, the architecture will still be the same, but YouTube will be very different from Dailymotion because their video, encoding that they do, the frame rate that they have could be very very different. So basically, this is coming after multiple rounds of iteration. Actually, we arrived at this architecture because initially when we started, we used to just do one model per filter, and we should depend upon that. But quickly we started realizing. So I have one example. So we did this in India actually, and in India you can't have the national flag printed on anything, neither on your clothing or let alone in the US you can print it on lingerie as well. The US flag, not possible in India. You can't even have it on your mug or like clothing or etc. Forget about lingerie, like you will be put in behind bars if you were to do that, something like that, right? So so when we were working in the US, it never occurred to us that we should even be detecting, like, let's say, a flag. That's not even like a profanity, right? But in India market, it became. So we had to build a new filter just to detect a flag, and we did not do a very good job in doing that. So when the model was trained, it went through all the listings and was trying to detect any kind of flag. We quickly started receiving a lot of listing being rejected because of flag detected. So a lot of these sellers started reaching out to us saying that, hey, why my listing has been rejected. So earlier they were not even giving the reason code, they were just rejecting the listings and not telling them, like. So first of all we said, hey, first of all we need to give them the reason, like, why did you reject their listings, otherwise they'll get annoyed, third party sellers. So they started giving the reason code as flag detected. Then they said, hey, my listing doesn't have any flag, how come you're rejecting my listings? And then we did a deep investigation what was going on, because we were assuming, like, in the test environment everything works. The real magic is when you put it in the production and then it stops working. And that's what exactly happened in our case. So what was happening was, when we did a deep investigation, that in any listing that had some kind of a shadow, it would assume it as a flag and it would reject that listing. So shadow can, as you can imagine, this is a shadow, right? So basically, it's like kind of gray color, something like that. So any image that had a like a little bit of a gray background or grayish image or something or the other, it will reject it, thinking this is flag. So had they not reached out to us, we would have thought, oh, we did a fantastic job. We are rejecting so many listings without knowing that we are doing a. This is known as false positive. This is known as false positive actually. So this is where the false positive. So we think it is flag, actually it is not. So um, and this caused a lot of heartburn for our sellers. Then we basically retrained the model, spent a lot of iterations on that, and basically reduced it and then fixed this problem. But such kind of issues can happen, right? So I'm just saying, like, you can't use the same model of one country to another, won't work. Cannot take away from one company to another, won't work. So that's why she was saying, even though you have a lot of pre-trained models, so you will find it, like, adult model is very common. You'll find it in all major platforms. They'll have an adult content detection. And maybe once you upload your photos on like Facebook, etc., right, it will tell you this is a man, this is a child. That's also an annotation, right? They are exactly doing the same thing as what we just said it there. But they're not doing it for content moderation. They're doing it for attribute extraction. We also do the same thing. We're actually extracting the attribute. Does it have adult attribute in it? Does it have uh, hate speech in it? Does it have drugs, violence, etc.? It is nothing but, if at a fundamental level, what we're doing is we're extracting the attribute from text, image, and the video. That's what is essentially is happening. It's use cases for the content moderation, but it could as well be due to just extracting, like if you post it on, let's say, Google, Amazon, all these companies have APIs where you, if you upload an image or a video, it will tell you that there seems to be a male and a female dancing. They can tell you the expression that looks smiling, angry. Basically, they're extracting the attributes. That's what we are doing, but applying it to content moderation. So that's where it is.
Mhm. Yeah. No, that's a very valid point, and that's what exactly we are doing. So what we do, we moderate text and image separately, but we combine the results at the later stage. So for instance, like as you have mentioned, you have taken the example of a camera. So camera, in the text, we'll see whether they are giving a description of a camera, or we can think, yeah, okay, this will be a camera. From the description, we can notate. And from the image, we see, oh, this is a camera. Then it's good. If it is not, if we combine both the scores, right? Yeah. So yeah, then they're flat. Yeah. And one more thing, like for every filter, like as we have mentioned, that adult, policy violation, counterfeit, we have different models, like multiple models for each filter. Why we did that? So if we try one model to do multiple classification, right? Adult, counterfeit, and everything, then it'll get more confused. It will not be accurate. So accuracy would improve when we just try to detect one thing at a time. So that's why we have multiple filters. Mhm.
Just adding on to what Rakhee just mentioned, she made a very important, pertinent point, and I think anyone who does data science would probably appreciate this. That in generally, when you do classification, you can do binary classification, or you can do multi-label classification. So what she was telling, that we could have built one model that can do adult and counterfeit and um, politics and hate speech, etc. And we could set these are the four labels that it will predict. It will never work, never work, never will, never have. The reason for that is these are so different classes, and to train one model that will work for everyone is just impossible. The best accuracies that you get is in binary model, yes or no. There is no third thing to get confused. So when we do that, and that's the reason that as many classes that you have to build as many models. So that's what we are calling as filters here, that each filter will be built, and then even for just one filter we are building multiple models just to do exactly the same thing, because you want to ensemble them, because you can't be confident on just one model. You need to use different algorithms to get the same answer. And then that's not good enough. We need to do the same filter on the text, same on the image, same on the video, and then combine the results, because maybe text there may be no profanity, but in video it may be. Maybe image is good, but video may have it. Maybe video is good, text may have it. You never know. So as a listing, it has combination of all of them, right? So individual media type could be okay, but combining of all the media types may not be okay, and you still need to reject them, all of it. So it's a, since we have worked in this, we know these intricacies like in quite enough detail. But it's a fascinating topic, and as you said, uh, so while what you're saying is not necessarily content moderation, because content moderation is more to do with policy violation and like bad actors, but what you're saying is we call it as uh, incorrect listing, or improper, like uh, you know mal advertising also, we sometimes say. So you're advertising something which it is not, so you're incorrect. So in that also this makes sense. So you separately take the enrichment. So extract the entities from the text, extract the entities from the image separately, and through image extraction you found this is a camera, but through text you found out this is let's say a video camera, whereas the image is telling it is a still camera. So then that is incorrect. When you combine those things, this is not matching. Similarly, we had a lot of examples around clothing, actually. So clothing was a very big vertical that we are trying to solve for. And what we found out that a lot of people would, like these third party sellers mainly, will upload, let's say, clothing, and in the haste of the moment they'll just put same color for everything that they're uploading. So they may just, let's say, they may put it this as check shirt, they may also put the other thing also as check shirt. So in the text it is showing text shirt, but when we do the image, then it is showing, let's say, striped shirt. Then we know this is incorrect listing and it can be rejected. So while this is not content moderation per se, because it is not something Fed will not come after you if you were to put a stripe and blue shirt, but they will come after you if you put adult and all those content there, right? So it's a slightly different area, but the same technology can be used to do exactly that also. And that's a topic for a different discussion. We have several use cases where we have done such kind of things. So that we call it as a category match or vertical mix match, or better it is known as taxonomy. So basically, when sellers are uploading their listings, you want to ensure that it's in the right taxonomy. Because there are multiple like verticals and categories, like even in the clothing or the lifestyle, if I were to use as an example, you have multiple kind of layers. So you have men, women, children, then you have casual, you have office. If I go in the hierarchy of the ontology, right, there's subcategories, categories. So when the seller is uploading, they can't just say clothing. That's like topmost category. They have to tell what exact category they are uploading into. So if they do mistake there, then the problem is that, right, we can allow them to do whatever they want. Problem is when somebody is searching it, like you and me go to Amazon and start searching, you are going to write running shoes and they'll show you some skirt. That won't work for you, right? So even though legally it is okay, but that's not okay to make a sale. So you need to ensure that as well. That's known as taxonomy mapping. So that's another topic, which is also based upon very similar, uh, even the use case is slightly different, but you can still catch hold of those things as well. Okay, did you had anything?
Yeah, here I wanted to add when we said that mechanical Turks or human intervention. Earlier, it used to be they have to, um, check for all the kind of filters, all the kind of policy violations. But now, when we have filters, some filters they might pass the test, then they don't have to get through human review, right? It is, if it gets stuck for counterfeit, then it will go. And so their work is lessened, not just listing number of listings, but per listing also they have to do less work on that. Yeah, so that helps. Yeah. And as Arpit has mentioned, that when we are doing the content moderation, there are two facets to it. One is the quality of the content, and then the other is counterfeit or like policy violations. And policy violation can, cost your business, as it can shut down or may face litigations, and you have to pay hefty amounts. But if you are not good with your content quality, then it might impact your branding and trust of your consumers, which you don't want to at any day. Thank you. So yeah, just and prepare and prevent rather than just repair and repent. So that is one motto for these things. Yeah. Mhm. Thank you. Any other question? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Human. Mm-hmm. So it depends. Sometimes it can be a couple of days or couple of hours. So yeah, but we don't want to take any chances, because now we have reduced it, because earlier we have to have full-time employees, but for his, when we have gamified it, it has been spread across, like anybody can log into the system and get start working on it. It's kind of a part-time thing, anybody can do it. So we have now more people working on that rather than just few people working on that. So we have also reduced the time for them also, so it can go like 1 or 2 days, not beyond that. Earlier, it used to take weeks.
Just adding to what Rakhee just mentioned, to answer to your question, when one human reviewer kind of does it, who, people who are trained in this, like who have done this before, they can do it in under a few milliseconds. Actually, just look at it, move. So what she was telling about the time is because they have so many things, so they may take a lot of time to come to your listing because they have so many other pending things. That's where the time comes. So that can even happen in the filters, or so machine learning filters, because if there are too much content is coming in, the filter cannot pass it quick enough. So it can also do in sub millisecond, like annotate and move forward, annotate and move forward. But if the queue is very long, so by the time your content comes, it may be several minutes before it comes. You're getting my point. Otherwise, you have to have several models just for like like replicas of same model in multiple queues. So at the end of the day, this is like so we are talking about content when it comes about like social media, etc. Is in almost like billions of impressions a day. So it's a cost also, right? So even if you run like a model on a compute device, right, to run a prediction model itself is a cost. So not only in terms of like time, but like actual infrastructure cost. Like you have to use GPUs and all nowadays to like get a high processing speed, etc. And the deep learning models that you build are very expensive, in the sense because one, you have to train them with humongous amount of data. So there is also a question around like, do you really want to use deep learning for everything, or you can be better off with just classical machine learning? And in certain cases we have seen the classical machine learning seems to work better actually. It will work with lot less data, and the model is less expensive and faster also actually, rather than deep learning. But generally, if you are in the computer perception domains such as images, video, generally deep learning seems to work better. But in text domain, sometimes it will, sometimes it not. If it is purely numerical domain, like just numbers and all, most often than not, classical machine learning will work just the best. We have just seen so many examples. And again, don't quote me on this. This is just based on our experience. Your experience can differ.
Yeah, it's difficult problem to solve, because one he'll have this arm in his hand, only then we'll get to know, and it'll take some laps, right? Even if it has to go through that, it'll take some few seconds or maybe minutes, because depending on the traffic at that time, if the traffic is so high, yeah, then. And why it takes a couple maybe a few hours or days, because it is not just when human is reviewing it, we don't rely on one human review. It'll go multiple phases, like 3 or 4 and 5, because this is very, very sensitive issue, and we want multiple layers, so that we are 100% sure that whatever we are putting on your website or platform, it's perfectly fine as far as the policies are concerned, and the quality is good.
Just to add, so I think she pointed out a very important thing, right? So when we were talking about the automation, right, the machine learning models that we were using, for one filter, we said for one filter for one media type, just for, like, let's say adult, we'll build 3 models. Same way for the reviewers, manual reviewers also, we don't rely on just one person. If they're extremely trained and they're rated highly and all, we can accept their review. But if they're kind of not there yet, then we'll like to have 3 or 4 people, and we'll triangulate those. Okay, maybe 4 people reviewed the same item, 3 of them are saying this is adult and one is saying not adult, we'll take it, okay, adult. But if 2 and 2 does it, then we have to review it again. So that's why sometimes to triangulate it takes some time, because you can't trust the just like how we can't trust just one model, we can't trust one human being as well. And you made a very interesting point. It's a great opportunity to stop such kind of things. And I don't think we have deployed such kind of model which kind of detects suicide or attempt to suicide on the live podcast or live meeting, etc. But if I were to jog my mind, we could basically sense the, like, the body language of the person or the way they speak, that this is going into like some wrong direction, and maybe intimate 911 that, this person is doing a live podcast or something, and it's not moving in the right direction, because we sense like frustration and anguish in the speech, body gestures, like seems they are like depressed and things like that. So I think there should be something like that. I like your, in fact we should work on this idea. This is like very good actually for human life prevention and suicide prevention. This could be a great thing, and something like this can work. It's just that here all of these models work like separately in parallel. That would be sequential model. Detect tense behavior, okay, next detect body language, and so sequence is leading to something, likelihood of suicide 90%, okay, immediately send a response to 911 to stop, or something like that. We have to do like that. So I think it's a I don't think something like that exists, but should be working upon that. Yeah, they go through this. Yes, you are very, no, this is a very good point you said. I mean, that we should ourselves also try to think and pitch them this, hey, let's let's do this thing. Actually, this is going to be very good. No, this is very good actually. Yeah, never thought about it, but yes. So the point is this, right? A lot of these companies actually still today this date hire several outsourcing companies who just do manual review of this. A lot of companies in India and Vietnam and a lot of Latin American countries where there are huge call centers of like 600 people who just keep doing day in day out this kind of thing because of the cheap labor cost there. And again, with machine learning and all, I mean, it's still, there are mixed reasons. Like it's not successful everywhere, and that's why they have to rely on human beings. I think in perception tasks are very smart. Like you, once you tell them that, like, like he's like 4 years old right now, right, Kride? And he did not need to be trained like 50 times that don't put your finger into that candle, you'll burn your finger. He got it burnt once and he knew it never has to be done. Not unlike machine learning where you have to give 100,000 examples to let them know that this is going to burn, don't put your finger inside it, right? So some things I think human beings have naturally in them that machines don't, and that's a big debate actually. So do you really need that many examples? Are you like really dumb, like that you I need to tell you so many times that this is bad for you? Where how come a small child can understand it so quickly, right? And same way, if he knows what is a cat and I show him the picture, even if a dog looks like cat, he'll still know this is cat and this is dog, but the machine learning model will fail. So how come he's able to detect they are not, even with all the GPUs and processors and all that good stuff, right? So same way, this is a big debate, right? Do you really need that big data to detect it? How are humans? So I don't think he has seen as many number of like images or like cats or dogs, but he's still able to make a difference. Even with like small human being, like with a small, like you just do a sketch, and even if it is not perfect, they'll still be able to tell this is a dog and a cat or what it is, even though they may not be able to draw it themselves, but they'll tell what is there, right? But machines still get failed even till this day today. Yeah. So yeah, happy to answer any other questions if anyone has, but I think pretty much done for the day today. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.